Hello, beloved beings, my beautiful, beloved beings that join me for these videos. Today, I want to tell you, I want to blend two stories into one that fit what I want to, the lesson I want to share with you. The lesson is how to deal with chaos in a calm way. Now, many years ago, I worked in a retail store in Oklahoma when I lived in Oklahoma City, and that is the heart of Tornado Alley, if you aren't familiar with the geography of the area. We very often have tornadoes there, and I have witnessed some devastating destruction. So one day, we had an unexpected tornado warning while I was working in the store. And we had quite a number of clients inside the store when this happened. The sirens went off, the power went out, and here we had several patrons inside our store that could become frightened, and we needed to find a way to, number one, keep them safe if need be, and number two, take care of their needs. So, what we did, since we listened to the radio, we discerned that we were not in immediate danger, although if we had been, we would have taken everyone in the back and secured them in a safe location inside the production end of our store. But that wasn't anything we'd had to do. What we ended up doing was calm everyone down as best we could, tell them that we would honor their purchases, that we were going to go ahead and make paper receipts. We would write everything down. We would calculate all the tax and everything, and we would, if they wanted to pay with cash, we would be able to accommodate them. Cash or a check. So at that time, it was, everything in the store was electronic, but we could get to the cash using keys, and we had calculators, so we could calculate whatever we needed to. And so all we had to do is just make a careful accounting of whatever was being sold and the numbers we used to identify the items for inventory, so that we could later on input everything into the cash register so it would go to the corporate office and they would know what happened, along with an explanation of why everything was being done after hours or whenever our power came back on. And fortunately, our manager was there that day. I was an assistant manager, but I was not the top manager over the store. So what we did was we had everyone quickly choose what items they wanted to purchase, and we set about writing down everything, making a log of everything, and in short order, we had everyone taken care of and got them out of the store and safely on their way home. And we closed the store then, and we shut down everything. The power had not come back on, so we had the plan to, the next day, the manager would come in early and input everything into the cash registers and get it off to corporate with the explanation. I believe we went ahead and made a bank drop that night because I don't think we wanted to keep the cash overnight in a building that might not be very secure. So we set about doing that, and we took care of everyone and got them home safely as we could. I mean, at least as long as they were in our custody to the best of our ability, we made sure to send them off in a safe manner. So, skip ahead 2 years later, not 2 years later, but to some years later, and I'm working in, I have to tell you that of all the jobs I've ever done, and I've done a lot of them, the two I enjoyed most were working on construction site and working in restaurants. I worked in restaurants off and on my entire career because that's honestly what I like to do. So I was working in this little one owner non-corporate burger joint, and it was a popular place because it's in a satellite or adjacent to a satellite township to Dallas. So if you don't know what that is, a satellite is like a suburb, only it's inside the city limits or just on the city limits. So I'm working at this little burger joint that has been a favorite spot for 17, 18 years in that area. And I've only been working there a few years. At one point I did become a manager in this store, but I dislike being manager. So that didn't last as long as the lead up to becoming management. I strongly dislike being a manager. So I would rather just do my job and be happy and go home. So this was a Wednesday, and Wednesdays in the burger business are notoriously slow, dead even. So we had kind of a skeleton crew. Ordinarily, during a very busy time, we might have 11 to 12 people working, and that's a fully staffed kitchen, a fully staffed drive-through, and a fully staffed front end and cleanup. Today, on this Wednesday, our normal working crew for a day like that is about 5 people. So, and I worked on the front at that time. I looked up from my pad I was doodling on, and I see 3 very large buses pull into our parking lot with possibly 60 or 70 people. Enough to fill the capacity of our small little restaurant and have overflow on our patio. All at one time, on a dead day when we have no employees working. And I looked up and I said an expletive. And my assistant manager was standing behind me, and he leaned in and he said, "Don't worry, we've got this. We can do it." Now, what I want you to know about this little restaurant is that we were a well-oiled machine. We rarely spoke. All we had to do was look at each other, and we knew what we needed. It was a lot of practice, and it ran very smoothly because we were used to being swamped at certain times. This was not one of them. We were not prepared, but we did have enough food. So what we did was what we do. First, the manager called in reinforcements. Not very many because it was a Wednesday and lunchtime, and people that were off had things to do, but we were able to get one other person to come in, and she arrived shortly, and we put her on the front with us. The people in the kitchen just put their head down and went to work and started cooking as soon as we saw the buses. So they come in and we put our heads down and we get right to work, and we, as quickly and kindly as we can, process everyone, handwrite all their orders. There are people out the door and, lined up around the building. So we have one person taking orders on the counter and another person out floating, getting orders down the line. Because the sooner we can get these people fed, the sooner they can get back on their bus and go back to what they were doing, because obviously they had just stopped there on a whim while they were out in an outing. I don't remember what kind of group it was, but they had limited time. So we did. We put our heads down and we did what we did. And we relied on our practice and our training and the help we were able to pull in to get us through. And in a timely manner, within an hour and a half, they were all fed and back on their buses and on their way. And we cleaned up and got ready for the evening. So the reason that I told you these two specific stories is because out of chaos can come order. But you have to listen to your training, learn the lessons, and know what to do. Firstly, with the tornado, we knew where we were and we had contingency plans already in place because we knew the area we lived in. So we already knew what we needed to do. We already had a plan of how to protect people and how to quickly process them and get them out the door so they could go someplace safer than where we were. But if not, we also had a contingency plan to keep them as safe as we possibly could within our store. Secondly, in the second instance, we relied on our training. We relied on knowing that each of us knew our place and what we needed to do. So whatever our assigned task was for that day, because we all floated and we all knew how to do everything. So each of us concentrated on what our assignment was that day, knowing that everyone else knew what they were doing and that if we did our part, that everything would work. And my manager was not afraid to call in reinforcements, to call for help. So, beautiful beings, be aware of what's going on around you. Know what the worst case scenario can be and prepare for it. Make a plan. Know what you're going to do. Practice that plan. Put it in action. Call for help if you need to. And stay calm. Just because all hell's broken loose around you doesn't mean that you have to join it. You can focus, center, ground, and know what you need to do. Sometimes all you need to do is hold space and be quiet and let the chaos do what it's going to do and wait. You may be needed to pick up the pieces. So, my beloved beings, let's find out what's the spirits, the guides, the angels, our deities, whoever you call on as the source, the creator, your God, or gods and goddesses, whoever you call to guide you and lead you. Let's call on them now and see what else they have to add. What can we learn from them? So I'm going to call my spirit team in. I've chosen 3 decks. I think we might pull a card or 2 from each deck. I have a tarot deck, the Robin Wood Tarot. I have the Light and Shadow Oracle. And I have the Literary Witches Oracle. These decks felt like they were the ones that would give us the most insight. So I first am going to pull some cards from the Robin Wood deck. Okay. Then let's see what the oracles have to say. Indeed. Yes. These are such powerful messages. You get just a little bit more. Okay. These cards make so much sense. First, don't have your head in the clouds so much. Know what's going on around you. Know what all of these circumstances can mean and what you need to do in each of them. Is it a wonderful thing? Is it a frightening thing? Know what's going on around you. Know what you need to do. Know what the circumstances can cause, good and bad. The most extreme circumstances. Know what can happen. Because you will be victorious. You just have to be vigilant and watch. But you will win. The Nautilus Princess tells us it's a time for powerful personal growth. Use those chaotic times to build your spirituality. Let them guide you. Learn from them. The Fairy of the Highlands says it's time to be brave. It is time to be brave. There are chaotic things going on all around us. In our government, in our personal lives. Be brave and stand up to the chaos. Now, the wolf tells us that it's a calling. They're calling to us to be brave, to learn what we need to know. So since we've been called, we may need to seek answers and pay attention. always know what's going on around you. Don't let your head stay in the clouds. It's fine to take a break and to know that we're recharging ourselves. But stay vigilant. We can be victorious. So, beloved beings, beautiful beloved beings, until next time.